what exactly does IVF stand for? But today, more and more couples are going in for, infertility.
Biological clock and career clock
They don't
They
match.
don't match.
Which couples are the ones perfect candidates for IVF?
बांझ बोला जाता है. In India, the fertility rate is going down. हम दो हमारे दो करो.
And it always fails for 3-4 times. Is it always going to result in a baby? Up till now, whenever we thought of a gynecologist, the first things that most women would think about was, I am either already pregnant, or I want to have a baby, or I want to think about contraception, or maybe there is an unwanted pregnancy which needs to be terminated. So there are these issues with which most of the gynecologists would be approached. But the scenario is changing with women actually advancing in careers and delaying the timeline for actually becoming mothers. And in such issues, I have found that infertility is becoming a very prime importance and the reason that most gynecologic visits are all about. So today with us, we have a very famous gynecologist from Shela. We have Dr. Karishma Mehta, who is also an infertility expert with the Vani IVF Center. And so please welcome Dr. Karishma Mehta. Please welcome to our podcast. So, Karishma, I have already given you a brief introduction as an IVF expert. What exactly does IVF stand for our viewers?
So, if we consider in layman language what IVF is, IVF in other words means test tube baby.
All right.
So, no doubt, we do not produce babies in test tube. It is done in petri dish, but the colloquial word for IVF would be test tube babies. Basically, in simple words, IVF means we take the eggs from the female, we take the sperm from the male, and the egg and the sperm is mated in the lab. So, in vitro, that is outside the human body. That's what it means.
IVF, fertilization.
IVF, fertilization.
All right. Okay. So I think that's put very simply and easy for most people to understand. Now, why do you think there is a rising need for experts like yourself today, as against the need for, gynecologists who would go in for abortions or go in for cesareans or go in for, simply a checkup, a gynec checkup? That was what a gynec visit meant in the olden times. But today, more and more couples, are going in for, infertility and they need advice on it. So, why do you think this change has happened over these last few years?
Definitely, you are absolutely right. Now the trend has changed where it is a good thing also and it is a bad thing also. But female want their empowerment. They have more independence. They are educated, so they want to focus more on their career. And unfortunately, biological clock and career clock
They don't match.
They don't match. So ideal age to get pregnant would be somewhere around 25 to 35, which reduces your chances of complications, which reduces your chances of not conceiving, because that is the ideal age. But that is also the age when most of the women are going to focus on their careers. With the women educating more, going more for career options, focusing more on their careers. So the age for planning for a baby and for marriage, both, is getting late. Earlier, at the age of 25, the girl used to get married and plan for a baby by the age of, say, 27 or 28. But now, they get married at the age of 30, or even if they get married earlier, they plan for a pregnancy much later, because unfortunately, biological clock and career clock both run together. So, with the advancement in IVF, we have a very good option for all these females, as in they can do a egg freezing. So,
Okay.
At the right time, if we do egg freezing, then maybe later on, whenever they feel after the age of 35, okay, now I want to get pregnant, they are mentally prepared for it, then they can go with good quality eggs.
Okay, so basically, IVF would be useful not just in infertility cases, but also in those women who want to plan a late pregnancy, but you want healthier eggs. So basically, I think after the age of 30, 35, what you're saying is the quality of eggs is not that good. Like I remember I had my second baby at 40. I was told that you will need to do a lot of tests for that, so that to cancel out that she doesn't have Down syndrome or doesn't have Klinefelters. So all these syndromes come in because the eggs have aged. So in order to avoid those problems, okay, you freeze dry the eggs when you're younger, around 25, whether you're married or not, doesn't make a difference.
Yes.
But you freeze dry it, and later on, even at the age of 40, if you decide to have a baby, your womb is perfectly normal. The womb is capable of holding the baby. It is the eggs that we need to be worried about. And that is why are advising that women should consider freezing of their eggs. All right. Does the same thing hold true for the men as well? Do they need to freeze dry their sperms if they are planning late children, or with them it does not make a difference?
The aging system in men is not as fast as it is in women. So for them, it is still okay, it is still manageable. That if they do not freeze their semen, it is fine. But for females, definitely the oocyte aging becomes much earlier. So
Okay.
for them, it is very important to preserve their eggs if they want a healthy baby.
All right. That was not something I knew. I knew that there were sperm banks and egg banks, but I did not know that the necessity of an egg bank is a higher need in today's generation than of the sperm bank. So that is news, I'm sure, for my subscribers as well, because we weren't aware of it. Now, when you're doing the fertilization in your petri dish, as you said, or in the test tube, is it always going to result in a baby?
No. If that would have been the case, then I guess all the doctors would be called as God. We are not gods. With the advancement in science, with the advancement in the technology, definitely the results, which were earlier only 50% or 60%, has increased to 90% with the right kind of laboratory and the right kind of clinical knowledge. But it cannot be 100%.
So in the petri dish, you can see it combine and become a baby, or at least the fetus, beginning of the fetus. But after you implant it, whether it's definitely going to develop into a baby or not, is something that is still in the hands of God, not in our hands. So
Yes.
sometimes, if you have to make attempts, like it's a very scary word, you know. Many people, when you say about IVF, then many people think it's related to mental trauma, it's related to physical trauma, it'll lead to weight gain if I fail a couple of times, and it always fails for 3 4 times. So it's very expensive procedure, and it's a very painful procedure. So are all these myths true?
Definitely, when a couple is trying for a pregnancy and they are not able to conceive naturally, it puts a lot of toll on their mental pressure. So, psychological stress plays a very, very important role whether you are planning for a natural pregnancy or a IVF pregnancy. IVF pregnancy would definitely add on to other stresses other than mental stresses, as you rightly said, financial pressure, social pressure. सबको ऐसा बहुत लगता है कि जो जिसको प्रेगनेंसी नहीं रहती है उसको हिंदी में बांझ बोला जाता है. So that kind of pressure is too much in our society. But we always have to have hope, because where there is hope, only there your dream can come true.
I recently read a survey that more than 206 billion couples are having this infertility issue, and to such an extent, I'm not talking just about India, I'm talking at a global level. But because of this issue, governments have got involved with IVF. And the governments are worried that the progeny or the future generations are going to be affected. We won't have that much youth because of this problem. So, has that come into India right now? Or are you involved with any kind of, institution which is associated or affiliated with the government, which is encouraging the use of IVF?
Definitely, there have been surveys that in India, the fertility rate is going down earlier, which
That is
was
something scary,
that is
right?
something scary. So, other than the career-oriented and delayed marriages, there are a lot of other factors which also play a role in this. We are exposed to so many types of pollutions. We are having so much of stresses, simple stresses. Like, even if we consider a child going to school, they have pressure of performing well in everything, not only academics but non-academics also. Similarly, peer pressure is there, societal pressure is there, financial pressure is there. So everything together is affecting your overall mental health,
All right.
and that is causing a lot of issues in conception.
Okay, but so much to such an extent that even the government is getting involved. I mean, I'm worried about that. That there's the Indian, like first the epithet was "Hum do hamare do." You know, the government was trying to stop us from having children, and then some Beti Bachao was there, the next one, because the female feticides were going high, and now the scenario is changing. So, what do you think the new logo is going to be? Bachche paida karo. I mean, what is
Yes,
it going to be?
ये लोगों करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज देर आर सो मेनी कपल्स. या तो फिर हम दो हमारे दो करो, ऐसा अभी बोलना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज मेनी पीपल आर वांटिंग ओनली वन चाइल्ड. वी encourage them कि भाई have a second child, especially after the COVID, where everybody was at home and only with family. Imagine if your child is the only one, no sibling. If I hope that this kind of thing never comes, but they will need some sort of mental support from someone who is a part of the family. So we definitely have started encouraging people to have at least two kids, but most of the time either they are willing to have only one child, or they do not want a child. There are so many couples who do not want a child.
Yeah, I think that is the influence that we are seeing now, a little delayed. It is already there in the West. Most of the European countries have got very old populations. They don't have youth, and that is why youth from India are migrating abroad. But in India itself, now that scenario is slowly making its appearance, where you find that parents have only one child, or like you said, they don't want to have children. They want a better economic life, and children affect that economic life. That's what they feel, and it's a very sad situation because that means there'll be no youth left.
But then again, these couples would then come at the age of 37, 38 to us and say, now I want a baby. So
When
at
they have
that
achieved
age,
whatever they want to,
yes,
then they realize that there's something missing in their life, and that something is a baby.
yes,
Yeah, but at that time, if that freeze drying of egg is done, then it would be a wonderful boon to everybody, not just the couples, but even the government, who is really worried about the future generations. So it is a fact that government is getting involved. So in these IVF centers that you are talking about, you're working with Vani IVF, I believe.
yes.
So is it a team or is it just you?
No, we are a team of doctors,
All gynecologists?
all gynecologists, we are all clinicians who take care of the clinical part. And we have a team of embryologists, well experienced embryologists, who take care of the lab part. Our director, Dr. Kamini Patel, she has an experience of more than 31 years. So you can just imagine that what kind of exposure and experience we are going to give to our patients who would be coming to our lab.
Okay.
And we have multiple branches, so whoever wants to come in whichever area they are, they have those options available.
Coming to another part of this question, like I said, that I was worried that my baby would have downs. So when you actually make these babies, freeze dried means they have been in the storage for some time. And like frozen food, I'm just making a simile, I'm sorry, but like frozen food, when you consume, it is often not nutritious. So in order to screen that the babies which are produced with the help of these freeze dried eggs, do you have any form of screening as such? That you can see that the baby is fine, that the genetic construction of the baby or the fetus is normal. So do you do that kind of screening as well in your centers?
Yes, we do that kind of screening. So first screening starts the moment we do oocyte pickup, ovum pickup. That from there, what kind of eggs we get, that is the first screening. The good quality eggs are kept aside. The medium quality eggs are, we make batches. The good quality eggs are kept in one batch. The medium quality eggs are kept in another batch. I'm using very simple words because otherwise scientific
They will
words
not
they will
understand.
not
Yes.
understand. So those eggs which are good, if suppose we are doing an ovum freezing, then those eggs are kept, as you rightly said, in a freezer. But this freezer is like an incubator, and the temperatures are much, much lower than our normal refrigerators. So they are maintained. Their genetic material is not going to get denaturated if we freeze them even for 8 years. For
Okay.
example,
Okay. So
everything is preserved.
all right. But I'm talking of the screening, that once the fertilization has taken place, in order to detect whether there is any abnormality in the future fetus, do you have means of that as well?
Yes, I was just coming to that. That after the fertilization has happened and there is a formation of the embryo, we can do pre-genetic testing
Okay.
and see whether that embryo is having any abnormal chromosomes. If yes, then we can avoid
Implanting
implanting
it.
that embryo.
So before the implantation, you have means of screening.
Yes.
So there's no shocks. Like many parents are born with autistic children, or they are born with damaged or spastic children. So that kind of a situation can be avoided with this kind of screening. That is the major question that most couples who are having infertility and going in for IVF are having. That will the child be damaged because of my freeze dried egg? So that fear before implanting can be avoided, right?
Yes, can be avoided, but there are certain issues like autism. Still, the exact gene, the exact cause is not known. So it is difficult to say that we can avoid autism by PGD, that is
All right.
testing. But yes, as you said, Down syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, and lot of other genetic abnormalities which can be detected, they
They
all
are
can
easily.
be avoided.
Okay.
This is usually PGD is not offered to everybody.
Okay.
It is offered mainly to couples who have a history of genetic abnormalities in their family, or they have a previous child with an abnormal genetic syndrome, or if they have history of repeated miscarriages. Such couples
Okay.
are usually given the option. Those who do not have this history are not given the option
Okay.
because it adds on to the financial
The burden is definitely that was the second problem that most IVF couples that I know, the ones infertile couples. Now the third main problem that most ladies are worried about was the pain. That when you injected, the pain is really severe. I think progesterone and hormonal injections need to be given, so that causes a lot of discomfort. It's not just always pain. Sometimes there's a lot of weight gain and a lot of body transformations which were not expected. So is it true with all cases or it happens only in a few?
So, IVF is divided into two parts. One where we do ovum pickup, and second is the embryo transfer. So, when we are doing ovum pickup, yes, we are injecting the female with a lot of hormones because our purpose is to get good quality and lots of eggs. The more number of eggs we get, the more are the chances of that lady getting
Good babies.
a good baby. So we have to give them hormone injections. So the entire menstrual cycle is under our control. That is the whole aim. She has to take injections for 10 to 15 days. So there would be pain. I'm not saying that there would not be pain, but with the advanced technology, with the newer injections, the size of the needle is also very small. So the pain aspect would be quite reduced compared to what it was earlier. We can give them subcutaneous injections. So the needle would hardly be like, half an inch.
Okay.
But we have to see at the other side that we are
You're
doing
gonna have a
all
baby.
this for something that we are really waiting, or we want that. So when you want something, the pain automatically disappears.
It's worth it.
It's
The
worth
pain
it.
is worth it. All
Yes.
right. I think the next most important question that most of my subscribers would like to know the answer to is, who exactly are the infertile couple also? Which couples are the ones who are perfect candidates for IVF and who need to think of any other solutions?
Very good question. So IVF is mainly done for those patients who have blocked tubes, who have severe hormonal issues where their eggs are not getting produced with natural cycles. Then they are having other autoimmune diseases. Then male factor, if the male is not able to produce semen or sperm in his ejaculation, or he's having some other medical issues because of which there is no production of sperm, or the quality of sperm production is so less that they cannot have a natural conception.
Okay.
And more than 50% of the time there is no reason. That is called as unexplained infertility. Everything may be normal, the eggs are good, the tubes are open, the semen is good, but still they are not able to conceive. So there is no like proper guidelines or criteria that these patients need IVF and these patients don't need IVF. But the most common reasons are what I just said. Also, I would like to add that if the AMH is very low, AMH is anti-Mullerian hormone, basically which tells us that what is her ovarian reserve.
Okay.
Okay, so if a female in her reproductive age, how many eggs she is going to produce is predicted by this hormone. Nowadays, what we are seeing is normally AMH would be on the lower side at the age of 40. That is, the ovaries are aging. In short, it means that. But nowadays, we are seeing so many females at the age of 23, at the age of 25, who are having a very low AMH. So, in such situations, there is no point that we wait for 5 years for her to go for natural conception or other artificial methods other than IVF, the lower methods. Does not make any sense. We are just losing her eggs and reducing her chances of getting a baby even by IVF. So, it totally depends from patient to patient and what are her problems, what are her reports, what are her husband's reports, and accordingly the decision is made. Just because we are running an IVF center, that does not mean that every patient that walks in is going to be converted to an IVF.
Okay.
If we feel that no, she can definitely go for a natural conception or assisted reproduction other than IVF, we will give her that option.
All right. So you cannot actually label anybody as perfect candidate for IVF or imperfect candidate for IVF. So if you are having difficulties, a gynecological consultation is primary of importance. So you are basically a gynecologist, right? And besides IVF, you must be involved in all the other IVF. Do you have any advice for young women today, or maybe slightly middle-aged women, as we have said that they are growing older, that ones who want to, keep their gynecological health, what are the frequency of consultations with you? What are nutritional supplements they need to take? So do you have any advice for these kind of young women?
Yes, definitely. I would advise that every woman, whether she's planning for a baby or she's not planning for a baby, should do a gynecological consultation every year, at least once, whether
Okay.
she's having any problem or not. Other than conception, also, there are so many other issues, period related issues, infection like white discharge is there, or cancer screening. So, all those things can be discussed in the gynecological consultation. And when we do an ultrasound, many a times it has happened that though she does not have any period issues, but when I'm doing a routine checkup, there are fibroids or adenomyosis or endometriosis or polyps which are seen on ultrasound. So that becomes a shock for the lady, and sometimes many ladies, they neglect their health. They are having period issues for months together, but they would delay their consultation with the gynae just for the fear if anything will happen, if anything comes, if there is cancer. There is no point getting scared.
If it is there, it is there.
Exactly.
It needs to be taken care of.
So if we are doing everything at the right time, if we are detecting any problem at the initial stages, we can give a good treatment and thereby improve their prognosis of not only just cancer, other issues also.
Also, yeah, there are a lot of issues associated with the reproductive system. What about nutritional supplements? Do you need to take them from a gynecologic point of view?
It depends from patient to patient what kind of diet they are having, what other issues they are having. So I would not say that there is any particular nutritional supplement that they need to take, But those couples who are planning for a pregnancy should definitely take folic acid supplementation in the
Okay.
preconception area time. And those women who are middle aged should at least take calcium and vitamin D3 supplements to improve their bones, so
Bones.
that at the age of 60, when their bones are weak, this supplementation would at least help them in reducing their chances of having fractures.
I completely agree with that, having been a patient one of myself. The other question that rises up from nutritional supplements is very often you hear people say, "Papa, you khado tu nahi એટલે બચ્ચું ઘરી ગયું," or because you were eating this heaty stuff, that is why the baby was affected. So, is that really true? What you eat, does it actually affect the fetus or your pregnancy or chances of a pregnancy?
Definitely not. What you eat does not affect directly to your pregnancy. It is your mental state, your vibrations in the body, your thought processes. If you're going to continuously think that if you have a earlier abortion and keep thinking, now this time also I'm going to have that. So negativity definitely affects
Affects the
the body. When it comes to food, there is no particular food which will cause problems because of food and lead to miscarriages. Papaya is a very common myth. The ripe papaya can definitely be taken, that is a fruit papaya. The unripe papaya, it is said that they have these the seeds and the content, the fruit has this papain enzyme, which may cause increased uterine contractions and
okay.
thereby might increase your chance of miscarriage. So do not
But
have
it is not totally proven.
not totally proven.
So you can call it an old wives' tale or maybe a myth to some extent.
Yes.
So this is something that is news for quite a few ladies, I'm sure, because it's for me as well. And the knowledge that you have imparted about IVF has been a revelation to me, at least. Okay, never having had to do it, but even thinking about talking to people who want to do it, I didn't have this much knowledge that I have today. And I can actually encourage a woman who is struggling to have a baby to, think about it more positively and approach you. So thank you very much, Dr. Karishma. You have been a real wealth of information today. Thank you for that. And I hope to see you again, maybe with something different for us to share with. And thank you again once more for such a lovely bit of information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sachi, for giving me this platform and the opportunity. It was a real awesome session that I had, and I totally enjoyed every bit of it being here. Thank you.
Where
again.
can people reach you before we sign off? Where can people reach you? Where exactly is your clinic located?
So my clinic is located at Sheila by the name of Womenhood Specialty Clinic. It is on Club 07 Road, and I also have an Instagram page by the name of Dr. Karishma with 3 A's. So they can definitely DM me if they want any opinion. We do not do a free consultation on Instagram, but at least we can get in touch and
Direct you as to when they can
yeah,
come and meet
yes,
you.
Yes.
All right.
Plus, our IVF lab is at Memnagar,
Okay.
where I'm available from 3 to 5. So they can get in touch with me there also.
Okay. So those people who are in Shella can meet you there. Otherwise, you're available in Meme Nagar as well.
Yes.
Thank you very much again, Dr. Karishma.
Thank
It was
you
wonderful
so much.
having you here.
Thank you.
Yeah.